And that's where creativity often really comes, creative insight does come out from being able to get sweet. And it starts to make connections and creative connections because it has the time to process all of that. When you shorten that cycle, then you're sort of limiting your creative capacity because you're not letting that subconscious brain really make all the connections.
Thank you for tuning into Time for You Evolve for female entrepreneurs. Remember, you have what it takes to achieve greatness. Your time is now. You're here with me, you're ready to change lives, and you're ready to change the world. Isn't it time to skip over the confusion and start creating sustainable and consistent results? We're going to pull back the curtain and start giving meaning to life in this podcast. Time for You Evolved. Hey, my name is Lisa Carmichael, and I am obsessed with everything online. It's no secret, in this crowded and highly competitive business world, we need to stand out. It's even more important at a deeper level to stand up for ourselves. I am a farm girl who grew up shy with zero confidence. If someone had suggested that I would eventually start a podcast, I would never have believed it. As a farm kid, I had the unique opportunity to embrace a holistic approach to life. All the seasons of growth were lessons that have helped me and other female entrepreneurs find success when they've been stuck and struggling. The Time for You Evolve podcast is here to help you navigate business online so you can be laser focused and help you navigate the messy and the magical in every season of your business. Pull up a seat to hear the tried and true secrets that other female entrepreneurs like you are facing, and get ready for real talk while you learn. This is the Time for You Evolved podcast. Hey there, entrepreneurs, ready to work smarter, not harder? Then you're in for a treat. Let's talk about video marketing, the smart approach that attracts, retains, and converts faster than any other strategy out there. Hey, I get it. Video marketing can be daunting. You know, you should be doing it, but you're not quite ready to take that leap, or you're frustrated because you're not looking like a pro. Hey, I get it. Who can blame you? Creating videos can be frustrating, time-consuming, and downright intimidating. That's where Big View comes in. It's the solution for your frustration. With Big View, you can create professional videos with ease thanks to its teleprompter app. I've been using Big View for years. Did you know that? Big View is an app that has saved me a lot of time and hassle. The app makes it easy to create professional looking videos. It's an online teleprompter that allows the presenter to keep eye contact with the camera while reading the text they need to speak. Using a teleprompter app allows the reader to sound natural without cue cards or notes to fumble or looking down while you're speaking. And the best part is that Big View allows you to focus on your performance and delivery so your confidence shines through. You get to keep eye contact with the camera while you're reading your script. Whether you're a marketer, a blogger, a trainer, a freelancer, a publisher, or business owner, Big View is designed with you in mind. If you're ready to take your video marketing game to the next level, click on the Big View link on my website, lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Join me and be the best presenter you can be and learn how to make great presentations. And that's lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. I am very grateful to Carlo. Thank you for joining me here on my podcast, Time for You Evolved, for female entrepreneurs. And I love the fact that you are curious and interested in coming onto this podcast, being that it is for female entrepreneurs. And what I'm hoping that today we will be able to kind of dive into some of the differences or some of your thoughts on how a masculine approaches to business and maybe marketing versus a female entrepreneurs. Carlo is the CEO and founder
of One Team Partners. And One Team Partners is a boutique consulting company. And what he does is he helps early stage companies get their groundbreaking technologies to the market. He is working with pharmaceutical companies or the life sciences industry. Is that what your specialty is?
Yeah, life sciences, which includes pharmaceutical, med device, and biotech and diagnostics.
And Carlo is an expert at guiding CEOs and teams at startups and small businesses through the challenge that come with bringing a new innovation to the market while achieving exceptional results. And not only all of that, Carlo holds an MBA from the University of Notre Dame, and he has a family. He lives with his wife and two boys in California. Is that Orange County, Costa
Orange County.
Mesa?
Yes.
Okay. And he spends his free time directing high school theater at his alma mater. Carlo, welcome again. That was the formal introduction, but in your own words, can you tell us a little bit about your business and how you got started?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I've been in the life sciences industry essentially my whole career and really grew a passion for helping those companies get their highly innovative products to market without burnout. So during my whole journey in the life sciences industry, I saw such great work being done, and then I saw a lot of the folks that I was working with and myself uh, experiencing burnout where it became more of a grind than a passion. And so decided to start my own consulting company to kind of address that specific issue is how do we do this better? There's got to be a better way to do business and engage in the entrepreneurial spirit that doesn't require you to kind of be on all the time and have that electronic leash and be at the company's beck and call.
And your leadership philosophy is leading from the inside out. What was your revelation that brought you to that point when you realized that?
Yeah, I actually had the fortunate privilege to participate in Notre Dame's Executive Integral Leadership Program back in 2015. And I chose that program. I looked at a number of different leadership development programs at various graduate schools, and Notre Dame stood out from its perspective of looking at leadership and leadership development from the inside out, which is different from a lot of, or at least at the time, it's getting more and more prevalent today, but really trying to say, well, if you really want to be the best leader, a lot of the older philosophies was like the outside in. It's like, how do you motivate employees and how do you get them to do things? But you really have to start with yourself and really understanding yourself and what you value if you want to be the best leader. You're not trying to be somebody else's version of a good leader. You're trying to be the best version of a leader yourself. So you have to really do a lot of the exploration and what I call the unpacking of what you truly value and how you want to approach things, because there's no one size fits all, and really try to explore that. And so when I'm working with leaders, I start off of like, what is it that you truly value? And bring out that authenticity, because that's what motivates people when they feel like somebody's being authentic with them, not when they feel like that somebody's putting on a mask because somebody told them that this is what it means to be a good leader.
Oh, yeah. So I have two questions about that program. The first question is, did you talk about the differences between men and women when it came to leadership? And then the second question would be, do you feel that women instinctively lead from the inside out versus men have learned to lead externally and motivationally?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would tend to agree with that statement that women do tend to naturally fall into it, whereas boys, men, sort of the societal structures kind of have more of this perspective that this is how you should do it. You need to show up this way. And then women have a natural tendency to want to do it that way, like to be more authentic, I guess is what I would say. I found that the women leaders that are really strong, they have this tendency to want to do that, but then there's a tension that gets created because in many organizations, I think there's a bias against women, and so they start getting this sort of pressure and tension to act a different way, act more male-like, which I think is not a good way of doing it. There is no there. You should just be the most authentic leader that allows you to kind of operate and be at your best. And in that particular program, they didn't necessarily address it head on as the differences between men and women as it relates to that, but I found going through it, it was just so eye-opening and refreshing when a key aspect of that is a willingness to be vulnerable, to kind of just say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know all the right answers. And I found the women that were in that cohort with me, and it was about 50-50 in terms of men to women, the ratio. The women seem much more willing to kind of lean in and dive into those exercises that asked us to be a little bit more vulnerable than the men, which I, at least from my own personal perspective, was very refreshing for me, because then it almost felt like it gave me permission to do the same, right? And that's where it was like real eye-opening for me of like, this is so powerful, because it just realized like how much I felt out of sync at that point in my career, because I was fighting things of what I felt others felt I was supposed to be versus who I was. And ever since that time, it's been a growth journey for me to kind of really start to lean more and more into this idea of how do you create this culture inside companies that allows everyone to be their authentic selves.
Exactly. I have to agree with you almost to like it's a cultural, it's a society way of leading people because that's just the way we've done it. And I like how you think because what you're trying to do is get leaders to think differently.
Yeah, yeah,
And you're doing that because you created this acronym called TEAM. TEAM standing for people first, thrive every available moment.
yes, yeah, yeah. And that is something that I felt was so important. I mean, obviously we're called one team, but that one team is kind of combines two very important concepts that we think. And so the one comes before the team, right? So it starts with that individual inside out concept of you really need to understand yourself before you can hope to either be part of or lead a team. But then in that sort of journey of going from one to a team, the objective is for everyone to thrive every available moment. And I say, even when you're sleeping. And so I think a lot of, I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, but actually in reality, I think it's so important. We talk about one of the first things I'll ask leaders when I first start to work with them is just the simple question is, how are you sleeping? And that usually opens a whole, you know, can of worms of, or Pandora's box of just feedback of the things that they feel and the tension and the stress that they carry that undermines their sleep. And the research shows that not getting enough sleep, which they'll say between 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and most executives just sort of laugh at me when I say that's the objective. But if you really, the goal for anybody is to be at your best self, you need that sleep. And some cultures, unfortunately, use the ability to quote operate on limited sleep, 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, as a badge of honor, versus, to me, it's just like you're just not setting yourself up for success to be the best leader that you can be.
I just wonder what their lifespan is when they're operating with the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, I
are
don't
they
know. I mean, I think there's probably some study out there that shows that it does tend to, on average, shorten the lifespan. And when I work with people, it's interesting because you can have these discussions in the data about what happens, sort of, what are you going to do when you retire? What are you going to do? What if you were to shorten your lifespan? And I found, and I think this is for most people, maybe not all people, that it becomes too abstract that what I'm doing today could potentially shorten my lifespan, or have this long-term effect. And so it's trying to bring that back to the here and now, where, okay, well, let's not even talk about the potential negative effects of these habits that you've built over the long life of your, over the lifetime, right? Over your lifetime. How does it impact you today? How do you feel stressed? Do you feel like you can focus and concentrate on things? Do you feel like you're jumping from one thing to the next? Do you feel like you're able to just be present with the people that you're leading, or with your friends and family? Do you always just feel like you're in a constant state of fatigue? But because who wants to feel that all the time? And then that usually sort of opens up the conversation of like, okay, that sounds great, Carlo, but then how do I do it? Like, it's, the demands of the business, or, and the various, where particularly executive leaders, the way they get pulled in multiple different directions. I do get challenged a lot of when I'm bringing up that better way of doing things, on how that's done. And it sounds simple but not easy. It's all comes down to, what are you willing to prioritize? Truly prioritize as being important. If everything's important, which a lot of companies fall into the trap of, then nothing's important. So what are you really truly trying to prioritize is important to you? And then use that as the guide to how you decide to spend your time. And try to spend more time sleeping, is what I would say.
Oh, I'm sure that's shocking to people because in the past, it's always been about the grind.
Mhm.
And there's not enough hours in the day to get done what I need to get done. But when we, in fact, rest, we are more productive
Mhm.
and we do accomplish more.
And that's where creativity often really comes, creative insight does come out from being able to get sleep. So, without trying to get too scientific, throughout the day, your brain is, through the five senses, is ingesting a lot of information, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And that's why sleep, when your brain is actually the most active, is making all those connections of everything it sort of, you may not have been conscious, but was, that it ingested and took in throughout the day. And it starts to make connections and creative connections because it has the time to process all of that. When you shorten that cycle, then you're sort of limiting your creative capacity, because you're not letting that subconscious brain really make all the connections that it needs to make to drive then creative insight. And so I can't tell you how many times where I've been trying to figure something out, and it's getting later at night, and I'm like, I haven't figured it out. And then I decide then I'm just going to go to sleep. And then in the morning, I wake up, and not usually like right away, but at some point in the morning, it just sort of, aha, that was what I was missing, because I took the time to get rest.
Oh, yeah, we've all experienced that
Yeah.
where you just like, I just can't figure this out. You go to bed and the problem, you can solve the problem with no problem.
Yeah.
And what about the relation with our phones and technology?
Oh yeah. They, and
Oh, and you
what
have
I've
kids.
Yes, kids, and my eldest son is 15, and he's going to a high school that is very kind of forward thinking, that there's no technology allowed. The kids are not allowed to have their phones out during school hours, and it's based off of research study on how much a detriment phones have been to kids, and how that sort of increases anxiety, stress, and depression in the younger population. But then, okay, so you see these studies, and then it's very easy for us adults to dismiss it then and say, well, it's for kids, or it's not good for kids, but I'm okay. Yes, phones, I think, very powerful tools that, in my opinion, are designed to try to get you addicted to using them. And so you have to be very conscious about not using them. And if you want to get better sleep, you should really be active about not using it at least 45 minutes before. Stop using them 45 minutes before you go to bed, and don't have it be the first thing you pick up when you wake up in the morning. Wait at least, and I usually say 15 minutes, but if you can wait an hour, 90 minutes before you pick it up, you find that your brain is just so much calmer, and your ability to prioritize and discern what things are important increases the less you use your phone. And so there are things, I don't do this. I do use my phone as an alarm, but there are recommendations on folks using sort of traditional alarms as ways to, or ideally you build such great habits of going to bed at the same time every night, and then you'll find you can wake up at the same time every night, every day, without needing an alarm. But even though my phone is I use it as my alarm, I turn off all notifications. There's nothing, I just set it down, and I'm not using it. And more often than not, I would say like 90% of the time, I do not check my phone until at least 15 minutes after I wake up, but usually around an hour, hour and a half after I wake up. And it's so freeing. And then I thought to myself, well, why was I driven to it to do that? And it was, again, this sort of, I think, self pressure that you must always be on. You must respond to emails or things that come in as quickly as possible, and it's just not necessary.
I think there also comes a time when you realize that the things that you're looking at on your phone, it's feeding into problems. And then all of a sudden you discover, oh, maybe I have that problem. And then it just, that's where this mental health problem has erupted,
Yeah.
because all we see are problems. So let's just switch this up a little bit. I have a marketing business, and I'm curious, like, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to marketing with your company?
Yeah. The biggest struggle we still work, it's like finding that niche that you want to talk to, and having the courage to get as precise as possible with that niche. A good friend of mine once said, like, for a lot of startup companies, they will, you get asked the question, well, what do you guys do? And the answer is yes. It's meaning, like, whatever, you're not spending, or you don't want to say what you really want to focus on and do, for fear that you might lose out on an opportunity. And you kind of have to work at sort of turning that on its head, and said, if you really want to drive as many opportunities as possible, you need to decide, I am not for everyone. I am for this niche that I'm looking for, and really target and try to speak their language. Because I think that's one of the key things is that I learned just in the past couple of years, of the importance of, in your marketing materials, using the language that your target audience uses, not the language that you would use to describe your target audience. So really take the time to try to find people in your target audience, listen to them, take that customer feedback and say, well, how would you describe this? Or what is that? and then start using that language back, because that's going to really say, oh, they really understand me, or they understand what I need. And that was a learning, and for me in the past couple of years, and it's still hard to do. It's hard to get sometimes hard to get folks to kind of open up, and then it's hard to, that takes time. And then sometimes we're under this pressure of, I need to get XYZ done, and you're just like, I don't have the time. I'm just gonna I'm gonna say it how I would say it. And every time I do that, it's like I probably shouldn't do this, but it's the practical side of me will come out as it relates to that.
Exactly, because we have such a noisy world, and when we niche up like that, we're able to focus on the most important thing, is who our niche is, and we're able to embrace our uniqueness and let go of the noise. So do you have an example that you'd be willing to share?
Example as it relates to
um an example of how it really works with finding your niche, of someone who, I mean, it could be anybody, it doesn't have to be a customer, but an example of how an entrepreneur might be able to find a better focus when it comes to their marketing.
Yeah, I think so. We went through a bit of a journey. So, and you introduced us, and we're really very much focused on the life sciences industry, but that's where my expertise lies in terms of an industry sector. But then if I look at it from, I would say, more a horizontal way of what I do with CEOs of life sciences companies and executive leaders, is the same thing that I would do for small business owners. But how do we balance that, sort of going very deep on the industry side and saying we understand everything that goes on, but then going more broad on the level side. So we still want to talk with CEOs. We want to talk with CEOs or executive leaders of small businesses. And how do we message almost to both audiences without alienating the other? So that was the question that came up in my mind. And I can honestly say I don't really have a right answer without basically just saying, well, why am I concerned with trying to message to one audience without alienating another? That has an underlying assumption that I am going to alienate if I talk to one side or the other. Versus if you kind of look at your messaging and the channels at which you start to message in, there's a certain audience, let's say LinkedIn, where we'll message much more to life sciences, versus small business owners will use the channel of Instagram and start messaging more there. And it's not this mutually exclusive. It's it's meeting them where they're at. But how to do that, it's just, for me, it's a constant struggle. I'm not going to pretend like we're perfect at it. It is a constant struggle. And I kind of have this aversion to elevator pitches. And the reason why I have this aversion, and it's probably a lot to me in the way they're sort of talked about, is like, yes, I get the concept. Say something in a few short sentences that you would be able to catch somebody's attention in the length of time it takes to rise in an elevator. The challenge with that, because these are busy people. Okay. The challenge I have with that concept is you spend an awful lot of time worrying about what you're going to say, and not enough time trying to engage somebody to just talk to you. Like, I would rather than an elevator pitch, find that question that I can ask, how are you sleeping, that gets you to talk to me so that I can get to know you better And then I can either let you know whether or not I feel like I can help you, or point you in the direction, if I can't help, of who else does it. So it's really changing that sort of concept of I must talk at you versus I try to create content that gets you to engage with me through questions that we can ask that are a little bit more open-ended and engaging, because that's the audience I want to talk to. I want to service the audience that is willing to open up and engage in thoughtful conversation. And if you just want me to regurgitate something I've memorized that I can say in 30 seconds, you're not the audience I want to go to. And so, but that's a struggle, and I still struggle with it. It's not that I've solved it, because I'm inherently an introvert as well. So talking to people is can drain my energy, but it's not that I don't like talking to people. It's just I have to manage that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, a little bit of the journey I've gone under. And so I'm a lot of the mind of, there is a structure that a lot of folks that try to teach marketing, that those fundamentals are always there. Find the right niche, listen to your customer, try to do that. But then there's a lot of nuance that I think gets glossed over, and it's treated as a one size fits all. If you're not doing this, you must do, you're kind of doing it wrong. And I think it's like, well, no, I think it's not one size fits all. It's a tool set. And sometimes the tool that works for, me is going to be a different tool that works for somebody else.
So true. And that just kind of answers the question, like, how do we, that you're allowing more space to be human, that your business is not duplication and automation. It is putting people first. And that's the leadership that is actually very attractive to small business owners, because they want to be recognized instead of just being treated like a number.
Yeah.
And so, in your opinion, then, what does set a good leader above an average leader?
I think one, first and foremost, is a leader that is in tune with who they are and is humble enough to let people grow and develop and be better at doing things than they are. So the very best leaders are the ones that can really coach, develop, and let those who they are leading grow and lean into their strengths and get to the point where the things that a business needs to do are done better by the folks that they're leading than the leader themselves. And just let go of that. Let go of all the things, that pride that is required, and I've heard it said multiple times with different people, is learn to lead from behind. People want to see a leader kind of step in and take that front and center role at some point in time, but I think the best leaders know when to pick their spots, and more often than not are letting the people who are the leading shine. And it really kind of drives to where I kind of learned that, and I think, maybe I'm biased in that that's what I see as good leaders, because I do direct theater. And if you've ever been in any theater performance, you will never see the director. You will see the actors whom they have directed, and that's the way it should be. You shouldn't necessarily see the director, and it applies to movies too. Like, you can often see who the director was, but you never see the director on screen. You see the product of their leadership on screen or on stage.
That's a great example, because leadership is also very lonely. And do you think that's just kind of a mind game that we create in our heads, or is leadership lonely?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think there are things that from, I would say, running a business, that from a risk exposure, you can't necessarily be as open as maybe you would like to be from labor law and things like that. You wouldn't want to be as open as you would want to be because of the risk of lawsuit is one of those things that I think creates this silo. I think a lot of times in a lot of organizations it's overstated because it's sort of a outside sphere that gets created. I think there has been this in a lot of leaders and a lot of organizations, this concept of a leader is as close to perfect as you're supposed to get perfect in a completely made up way, because anybody would say I'm not perfect or anything like that, but they have to appear in front of those who they lead as being fully composed, always knowing the answer, all that kind of stuff. Instead of inviting people in, it doesn't need to be as lonely as you think it is. If you invite people into your process of creativity and saying, I don't have this figured out yet, but let me invite you into this problem that I've been thinking about. What do you think about that? And truly listen to it, not it be some sort of, this is what I was told to do, and I've already thought this problem through. It's truly invite them into your creative process. I think you start to open up in an organization that it creates a much better dialogue of people not seeing the hierarchy as a means to block communication. They're just a person too. Like, yes, I happen to be the CEO of one team, but I'm just a person and I don't have everything wired. And I appreciate being able to bounce ideas off of somebody and hearing their ideas back. But I think a lot of leaders, where that loneliness feels, is I can either only do that with a very few select people, or I can't do that at all, because if they see that side of uncertainty, they will lose confidence in the organization. And I think oftentimes that's just a misperception. I think people gain confidence in an organization where the leaders are able to demonstrate transparency of even like being able to say, I don't know.
I like that. Yeah, because I think a lot of times a CEO or a leader is thought to have the strongest vision of their organization, and that they're the go-to person, and that leader, that CEO, is the only one that has the answers.
Yeah.
So it's good to open up. Do you think it's changing, that the difference between the numbers with men and women in the CEO positions? Do you see that number going up more for females?
That more females will get in the CEO position.
Yes.
Yeah. I do see it going up. It's not going up fast enough, in my opinion. And I think the tension that I've seen a lot with female leaders and female CEOs is if it's particularly in larger organizations or larger organizations and in industries that tend to be male dominated, those that are able to rise are expected to act as how a male would act instead of act how she acts. And I think that's unfortunate, because I think they're losing out on the strength of the individual when you're asking somebody to do and behave in a way that doesn't come naturally to them.
Mhm.
And I think it's getting a little bit better, but we're still not there yet from expecting the traditional male female roles as they may play in, like if they happen to have a family. It's like this implication that a female CEO needs to do both jobs of being the mother and a CEO of a company. She needs to do those both. It's not that one needs to take priority over the other at whatever point in time it needs. It's not, no, the female's supposed to do both of them, which is, when you hear that, like, okay, so you're supposed to do two jobs at the same time. Well, I'm not, all you're asking me to do is be less effective at both, instead of saying, okay, at this life stage that I'm at, I'm going to prioritize family, and this life stage that I'm at, I'm going to prioritize leading a company or find the right balance of it. It's just like, no, the expectation is you're supposed to do both and supposed to do it well. I think it's silly. It's just,
Well, and
yeah.
but don't men also have that?
In terms of,
That they have these male responsibilities at home that they feel they need to be responsible for in addition to being that CEO?
yeah, I think it's more acute for women than men. So I think there are some very specific male roles in a family that you're supposed to play, but the time spent in those roles, I think, is less than the time spent in the traditional female roles. Now, I'm an advocate for shared responsibility, and finding that right balance. That's the key to it. It's just find the right
Mhm,
balance. Don't let
mhm.
one aspect of your life dominate the other, if you truly have interest in multiple things, which I think most people do. And so it's not this either or, and it's not this finding ways to blend it. It's finding ways to do the work stuff during work hours and do the non-work stuff during non-work hours. And those work hours don't need to be 9 to 5 or anything like that. They need to work for yourself, for the company, and for your personal life. And it takes effort to find that right balance and to set those boundaries that allow you to stay in balance. I think that's the, again, that's the key to it all is, in my opinion, don't ask somebody to be everything to everyone. Allow them to create boundaries and be, that CEO when they need to be that CEO, and be that parent when they need to be that parent, and be the friend when they need to be the friend, and don't ask them to blend it across all of those.
Exactly. And you just gave the answer to my question that I had in my head. What advice would you give to female entrepreneurs? And it's very good advice for both men and women in leadership roles.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it is important to start kind of viewing how you interact with the world, in a way that says that you give yourself permission not to try to be everything to everyone, and set the boundaries that are required for you to be at your best. The next evolution is teaching people how to set their own boundaries, and then respecting their boundaries, such that they don't necessarily need mental health days because they're not burning out. That's, I think, where you start to really lean into it. I don't want to say that mental health days aren't important and aren't a good positive step, but they're not the answer. They're just the first part of the journey. The second part of the journey, or the third, is allowing people to truly set their own boundaries, and respecting those boundaries without fear of retaliation or anything like that. And so it's not easy. I think any entrepreneur really struggles with that. I certainly have in my time. And so I know what I'm saying is not easy to do, but it's super important.
Well, the more time that you spend in mindset and grounding yourself, anchoring yourself in what you believe and embracing your unique self, it does make a huge difference. From what I've seen, the people that are most successful will spend time every day in some type of mindset.
Yeah, I love what
Right.
you
Well,
said, is exploring and your unique self. I think that's so important.
our time has flown by.
It has.
So I appreciate you spending time on the podcast today. How can people find you, and why would someone want to reach out to you, Carlo?
Yeah, so we have a website, unemotional.com. That is the best way to find us, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. If you just type in my last name, Odicino, you'll likely find me. There's not too many Odicinos out there. I encourage anybody, whether they own their own business or is a leader or is aspiring to be a leader, to reach out if you feel like there's got to be a better way. You're feeling burnout and you feel like there's got to be a better way. And if you want somebody to just kind of work with you to unpack, you can go to our website and schedule time with me. We can just have a conversation and see where that goes. So it's oneteampartners.com, and that's the best way to get in touch with us.
Perfect. And I will include those links in the show notes, so it will be a little bit easier for people to find you. And with that, thank you, Carlo Odicino, for being our first male guest on Time for You Evolve. It was fun hearing a male perspective when it comes to leadership and being a CEO of a business. And now after the fact, maybe there aren't as many differences between male and female leadership. Maybe it's more societal. Thank you for listening, you, my listeners, and enjoying this episode of Time for You Evolve.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time for You for Female Entrepreneurs. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and if you want to support the show, leaving a review goes a long way. A special shout out to our amazing partners and sponsors. Their support allows us to continue bringing you engaging content every week. And with that, a big thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're ready to supercharge your email marketing and automation game, look no further than my favorite autoresponder, Active Campaign. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform designed to turn your contacts into customers and your customers into loyal advocates. Imagine having a tool that not only understands your customers, but anticipates their needs. That's what Active Campaign does. With its powerful customer experience automation, you can create personalized journeys that nurture leads, drive sales, and build lasting relationships. The biggest reason I chose Active Campaign after trying other autoresponders is because I wanted to make sure my emails were being delivered and not going into spam. I need to know that my emails actually get to the people I'm emailing so that I have good engagement rates, response rates, and click-through rates on every email I create. Then I can have peace of mind that what I send out about my blog posts or upcoming events gets delivered and that people get to read what I write. And since it's just me, using Active Campaign saves me a bunch of time because I've been setting up automations that I can just drag and drop, allowing me to save hours of time. Not only have their pre-built automations and integrations saved me time, I'm able to power a personalized marketing plan throughout the customer's life cycle. In the end, I really want to personalize my message and make sure that each person is getting a unique email tailored to them, because I don't want to be sending bulk cookie cutter emails. I want to make sure that my customers and community is getting things that are tailored to them as much as I can. Email marketing doesn't have to be crazy where you're not just pushing information. Active Campaign teaches you how to be pulling information as well. I appreciate the value I've received from Active Campaign when it comes to creating and managing email campaigns. The support through webinars, live chats, and live study halls have been very helpful in maximizing their platform and a great alternative to those other email services I've tried in the past. Active Campaign allows me to build a business without relying on advertising. It has simplified my marketing processes, saving me time, which allows me to focus on what I do best, serving my customers. Whether you're a small business or just starting or a seasoned entrepreneur, Active Campaign scales to meet your needs and grows with you. If you're ready to up your marketing game, go to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign. That's my partner link, and sign up for a free trial. Experience firsthand the power of Active Campaign and take your marketing to a new level. Don't miss out, stay ahead, and stay automated with Active Campaign. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign for your free trial. Hi friends. Today let's have a heart-to-heart about something that's been a significant part of my life, skincare. As a busy female entrepreneur, I need a skincare routine that's quick, easy, and super effective. Turning 60 didn't bother me because I've been taking care of my skin every day for 20 plus years. I didn't always, but I'm glad I did start when I did. Let's fast forward to 1 year ago, and let me tell you about a game changer for me. I stumbled across my secret weapon, Droplet. Droplet is not your typical skincare company. It's a revolutionary approach that delivers personalized monthly skincare subscriptions tailored to your specific skin type. The magic lies in the Droplet Micro Infuser, a device that creates microscopic droplets from formulated capsules, expelling them at a high velocity to infuse ultra-concentrated active ingredients deep into your skin. Now, I'm a self-proclaimed skincare junkie. I've tried it all, from serums to spa treatments, and even once selling a natural body care line. So when I heard about Droplet, I knew I had to give it a shot. I can confidently say it's made a remarkable difference in my skin and my routine. The Droplet Skincare Micro Mist Infusing Device is a game changer. It uses a gentle mist to penetrate ingredients 20 times deeper through micro mist technology. It works with formulated capsules similar to an espresso machine, allowing you to infuse the treatments that are right for you into, not just onto, your skin. Here's how Droplet works. Choose your serum, collagen, retinol, glycolic acid, or maybe a lip plumper. Insert the capsule, hold the device to your face, and press the button. A fine mist of the serum is released onto your skin, targeting your face, your neck, chest, anywhere you want to focus on. These misting capsules have transformed my skincare routine. The results are incredible, from increased resilience to fading hyperpigmentation. Why do I love Droplet? It's quick, easy, and the capsules are recyclable. No cleanup, no hassle. And here's the bonus. Droplet's formulas are clinical strength, dermatologist recommended, cruelty-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, soy-free, fragrance-free, and vegan-free. It's a skincare lover's dream. If you're looking to level up your skincare routine and evolve beyond the basics, Droplet is your answer. Plus, they offer free skin consultations with their estheticians to address your skin concerns. Investing in a good skincare routine and self-care is crucial for any woman, especially us busy entrepreneurs. First impressions matter, and you want to put your best face forward. It's time to evolve and embrace the next level of skincare. Head over to the Droplet link on my website today, where you can start your own personalized Droplet routine. Here's to glowing, radiant, and fiercely beautiful you, no matter what age you are. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/droplet.